storylines about them coming into APAC South. They started off week 1, or Playday 1 in that instance, getting a result against Elevate, and it just seemed like that fairy tale was never going to subside. Well, unfortunately for them, it has well and truly stopped. Playday 2, 3, and 4 now all ending in rather one-sided losses as well. 7-4, 7-3, and then a real lesson, 7-1 loss to IG in Playday 4. So technically, only way upwards for Renatus, unless it's a 7-0, is against the Direwolves here. Heading over to Oregon, it is Thatcher Band first. We'll probably see Flores get taken off the board, Mirror, and I don't know the last one.
Valk, maybe.
Valk? Oh!
Wow, you're wrong. You're fired.
I don't think anyone would have predicted the OSA.
You didn't give me a chance.
No,
I was going to say OSA, but you didn't give me a chance. I was. You wouldn't believe it.
I wouldn't believe it, no. What's this one?
What am I? It'll be,
oh.
There we go. Right on cue.
Right on cue. Well, I guess maybe the bands haven't quite gone the way I would have predicted in this instance. Gus, any analytical thoughts from you?
OSA's a little bit peculiar. I am still yet, in my opinion, to see OSA actually used effectively. I think there's been a couple of fringe cases where she has had benefits, like a bank basement attack, for example. We've seen some teams actually lean into those Vulcan shields nicely. But for the majority of times I've seen it played, it actually really hasn't been that great. So a bit of a peculiar ban in that sense. Does mean Flores is on the board as well. But that's great for us, and for the viewers at home, it is going to open up attacks even more. So if that is leaned into, so not too much of an issue from our point of view, from an entertainment standpoint, but may make defense a little bit tricky. As for Wamai, that is going to put a lot more emphasis on Jaeger, and it does make some of the strongholds on a basement, for example, quite tricky. How are you going to hold blue? That's going to be really tough. What about Freezer? You're going to get naded out of there. Pillar as well, going to be tough. And there's plenty of examples of that around Oregon. So super keen to see how this plays out, and maybe a little bit different to what you would expect.
Renatus did, in fact, play against the Knights on Oregon and back in Playday 2, actually. So it was a little while ago now, but their defense was okay. 3-3 half, not ideal on a very defender-sided Oregon, and their attack was, well, abysmal. Only 1 from the 5 rounds played. So if they are to get a result here against Direwolves, it is going to need to be on the defense, which they are defending first here in the first half. So we'll get an idea really early on as to how this game is going to play out. If Direwolves get a couple of early attacking round wins, you'd probably say this will end up being a pretty one-sided affair. So it's absolutely important that Renatus get off to a good start here defensively. And Souffle with a little switch up already off the Maverick onto the Jackal.
And I must say, it's pretty crazy, right? Just taking a step back for a second. This is almost a first versus last encounter, in the sense that it's first versus second last. And Direwolves only joined the league last year, right? It's like kind of weird that Renatus are also now the newcomers to the league. Could we see maybe in a year's time Renatus have this sort of rise up through the rankings? It doesn't happen overnight. The Direwolves have shown that it takes a lot of time and a lot of persistence to climb up the ranks and be really competitive in this league. But just interesting to note that it wasn't really that long ago. I guess 12 months in esports can be a really long time, but it wasn't really that long ago that Direwolves found themselves in this similar position, right? Down in the standings, the newcomers to the league trying to find their footing.
Well, Jackal already having a bit of an impact onto Hoven.
Oh.
And it's Pika who gets the opening pick onto Ape on the Oryx, gets caught out up above. I think one thing, though, for Renatus is there's zero pressure because there's no expectations. I know I said back in Playday 1 when they defeated Elevate that maybe the expectations rose a little bit, but swiftly have come back down. There's nothing wrong with being a bottom 2 team, and for a team that, as you said, only has just joined the league from promo relegations. It may take them, a couple of months, may even take them till stage 3 before they start being a little bit closer to some of these top teams in APAC South. Nice shot from Souffle. Renatus just getting a little too pesky here. Oh, that's an easy one for Pika. Well, the round's over. Just about. Hermosa does at least get the trade, but is traded back swiftly by Souffle. 4 versus 1. Rix does get rid of ED, but position now known over towards Laundry, and it should swiftly be dealt with.
Looking to hold down the fort, but his days are against him, you would imagine. Low on HP. Direwolves 300 HP in the bank across the 3 remaining attackers. minute to go, so they have time to work with, and they don't feed him souffle to clean it up. And then a swift first round from the Direwolves.
Would you put this down as a trap game, though, for the Direwolves? Is Renatus in that kind of territory where they're a team that if you don't respect them, if you maybe play a little too freely, they could really punish you? But on a map like Oregon, I'm not so sure.
I think that is going to be relevant to how freely Renatus played. Again, just to reiterate, if you're just tuning in, this match, if we're going to be blunt and honest, really doesn't mean much in the sense that Direwolves are basically almost 100% confirmed at this point. It's like 99% plus chance that they're in the top 4. And for
1 point tonight
Renatus,
would be 100%, I'm pretty sure, too.
oh, yeah, 100%. And Renatus, on the flip side, are almost completely ruled out of making the top 4. Now, that's not to say that there's nothing to play for, in the sense that Renatus still want to build confidence. They want to build points towards the yearly standings as well, right? They don't want to find themselves back in promo relegations. And that fight could be really tight if it's going to be a split 4-4 team sort of league that we've seen thus far. So there's still a lot to fight for in the sense for Renatus to build some confidence, show a bit of freedom, maybe get a couple of points here, and for the rest of the stage, bounce up the overall standings, and that can alleviate a bit of that pressure because they are still going to be finding their feet in stage 2, maybe even into stage 3. And if they leave that development too late, then they are at risk of re-entering promo relegations and having the pressure of having to fight for their spot in the league again.
The other thing as well, technically, they play Fury next week, so maybe taking a bit of form into that would be pretty nice to make sure that they don't end up on the bottom because, well, that actually could be the match that does decide the 7th and 8th position here in the standings overall. If Fury win, they'll have the tiebreaker, so that would put Renatus last. Big game that for the bottom 2 next week in Playday 6. Of course, need to get through Playday 5. Still to come later on, we've got Wildcard and Fury. And then IG versus Elevate. Massive game to close the night.
ED to enter. It's been aggressive. It's been confident from the Direwolves in the early stages of this game. Pika as well on the Nook. I'm very keen to see what impact he can have. Enables the Cloak, makes his way up main stairs, and from this second floor position might be able to hunt down a roamer or two, but it looks like Renatus have reeled it in a little bit compared to that first defensive round.
Yeah, and Direwolves really playing this well, though. They're not getting too aggressive and playing to their opponent. They are just still playing their game. Rather slow approach. Last round was so quick, mainly because of the way that Renatus were playing, less so because of Direwolves. Direwolves are just clearing out their positions, playing this quite normal, the way you would really sweep across, especially that first floor here for Laundry Supply, get a bit of vert control, open up these hatches. And there's still, what, minute 20 seconds, so plenty of time here. Direwolves have been able to get through this checklist pretty cleanly. The only thing they haven't been able to get so far is that opening kill, but that's fine. They don't necessarily need that. Now they've even got a player going over towards blue. So this is a lot of avenues now available for the Direwolves.
Pretty classic basement Oregon here for both teams. Renatus holding down the fort, and they'll soon find themselves under a lot of pressure. For the side of Renatus, though, good presence over towards Pillar. They are forced back, though. It's really going to come down to the 5v5 trade, and it's always a war of attrition. Who can get that opening pick and who can sustain the longest?
Well, Pillar is clear. Elbow has been closed off, so no presence at all there for Renatus, and this is going to allow the Direwolves to really get Pillar control. But there's only 30 seconds left. This should typically be an advantage for the defending team. Hold your angles when you're gunfights, and it should be a round win. We'll see if they are able to do that. It's Hoven who gets the opening pick onto ED, makes it a 4 versus 5. Told you with a little bit of damage, and somehow gets out of that position alive. Poked his head up into that hole. It's Ape who gets through to Souffle, and this slow, methodical attack for the Direwolves have completely come undone. They've just had no time to really do anything, and instead just rush onto site and fall pretty easily to Renatus.
Well, you get the first pick that late into a basement defense, and your chances of winning the round shoot up exponentially, despite some members of Renatus being in, how do I put it lightly, compromising positions. The rest of the team able to hold on, withstand the storm that was created by the attack, and that's a good cheeky response on that round.
So kitchen meeting here for the third round, and well, for the Direwolves, having already at least got one round is at least half the job done. Realistically, only 2 rounds probably needed on the attack on Oregon. But But against a team like Renatus, you would probably say 3-3 is probably the kind of scoreline they'd be more so looking for. If Renatus can get to 4-2, I know that's kind of par for the course here, Guz, but for Renatus going up against Direwolves, in some ways it's like a mini win to just at least get to that pass mark.
100%. Tertiary site now enabled. We head over towards kitchen and meeting, so dining not being favored here by Renatus, and that's totally reasonable. Often favored by most teams at the moment. Extension up above, though. I think this is what is going to probably make or break the round for either team. We saw in round 1, Dive was with a swift and pretty brutal roam clear. Easily able to get entries, find picks, no trades from the defense. I think Renatus are pretty keen to double down here, though, on this particular roam. Force the clear from Dire Wolves and try to whittle numbers before the late round.
I will say, talk about some of the aggressive plays that we saw from Renatus in that first round, but it may be the way for them to win this game against Direwolves. If they are to really throw a spanner in the works here, it's probably by being aggressive, looking to find picks early, looking to get into the face of the Direwolves. Jackie Wu just sensing he can just walk straight into bedroom here, and he has been able to do so rather freely. Only just a little bit of fight back, but nothing crazy. Decent positioning, at least this early on here, but of course it is kitchen meeting. But you still need to clear out above, especially over towards attic.
It would appear that the die was pretty keen in clearing this roam. Players repelling up above and lines of sight and crosses established across the top floor. Games wall muted by Hoven. That's going to make life challenging for Harambe on the balcony, playing that Habana hard breach. Nades from below to try and clear that disruption, and it works. This is where the round really kicks off for Direwolves, and they need to step it up a bit here in the time department. Half the round gone.
Yeah, we saw what happened in the last round as well when they let time really get away from them. Harambe with the opening pick, and Rix falls too. Oh, hello. He just gets the drop down kill onto Souffle, who did not see that one coming. Drop down from above. At least gets one back for Renatus, but damage has been done. They've lost the smoke player as well in Rix, and suddenly Direwolves getting much better positioning around kitchen.
60 seconds. This round's still a fair way away from a victory if you're in the Direwolves camp, but they do have control up above and isolating players horizontally. One over towards top freezer stairs, for example, now cut off, and ED is going to sweep across and see if he can maybe find a pick or two. A player inside of split applies a bit of pressure. ED cautious, not wanting to throw away this advantage. Direwolves need to link up and find these kills, but Jackie Wu on his lonesome finds Tolji. Hermosa to try and respond, Hoven low on sight.
Well, he was low on sight, now no more. The Direwolves do break down the defense of Renatus this time much better than they did in the second round on Laundry Supply. Relatively clean for the most part. Getting the 2 opening picks, the difference maker. Tolji gets a freebie on the drop on Souffle, which was kind of hilarious that Souffle was able to just sort of walk on into sight like that early on in the round. And then die in the manner in which he did. It's a repeat as well. Kitchen meeting repeat. No dorms from Renatus.
Whoa, okay. Wasn't expecting that today.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
It's always kids' dorms until it's not. We can no longer live up that name.
I wonder if it's a case of Renatus thinking, can they do what they tried to do better and find results from that? You know, a lot of the times, especially for a team like Renatus, where it's probably more of a learning experience than it is about achieving the set result. It's like, okay, let's try and do it again, and let's fix this little piece of the puzzle. And that might be the case here for repeating kitchen meeting.
Yeah, I think the one thing that really stood out in terms of the last round was they were really struggling to trade back picks. They were losing ground, and no one was then stepping up in that place and taking back a bit of territory up above. And Dire was pretty early on in the round, and I say pretty early, it was about 2 minutes into the round, had absolute free reign up above, no pressure. They could set themselves up with drones, etc., and prepare for that final push with the man advantage. So I'm expecting Renatus to try and tidy up the first half of this round and prevent Dire from claiming quick control. And talk about quick control. Nook down below, once again being employed here by the Direwolves. It hasn't felt like the Nooks had a huge impact thus far, but maybe this can be the round.
Yeah, and in the last round in particular, way more of an emphasis from the Direwolves to go for Kid Storm's take rather than, you know, proper big tower take and getting attic control and getting into meeting. They went for more the kitchen side of this kitchen meeting. Pretty much no presence at all from Renatus over towards Big Tower. And I do wonder if the Direwolves continue to just sort of play into this confrontation over towards Kid Storms. Hello, bye-bye ED. Little death hole for Hoven, and he does find the opening pick for Renatus. So the Direwolves go for a swift rotate over towards Big Tower and a more conventional take. But it seems like they're very committed to attacking into Kid Storms and going for a kitchen plan.
Oh no, Ape throws away his life, unaware there was a player posted up on the main window, and that gives Direwolves an in now to the round. And I think they want to commit up above. They have the tools and the utility to really make the defense pay. The sledge in particular going to be impactful, but Peak is not even up above. He's over towards the L hallway, finds that one onto Hermosa. May well push split here, but I'm expecting him to go up above and do work on the vert. I guess at this point, though, you've had the round to do that. Instead, leaning into the advantage, the nades, the utility.
Oh, told you
and it's straight into the site. Pika to find a second. Told you falls. Now Rix and Hoven.
Yeah, he just got on the wrong side of security there. I think Hoven and Rix over towards meeting. Oh, Pika with a little drop down as well. Probably unnecessary at this point in a 4 versus 2 with kitchen control established. Oh, that is...
whoa.
What is going on? Hoven, check your lefts and your rights, mate. He's just walked out of the hallway and staring blankly direct in front. That was bizarre. Rix gets the trade. Damage well and truly done, though, and Renatus, they're about to lose this round. This is going to be a 3-1 attacking start to the Direwolves. It is very one-sided here on Oregon.
I don't know if Rix has anything to say about it.
No, you can't even finish that sentence, mate.
He's silenced from up above by Souffle. A disappointing reattempt there from Renatus. They tied it up the early round a fraction, but unfortunately in the late round, Dai was finding too many unanswered free kills around the objective and able to convert that control across to a round win.
All right, I'm going early here on our wonderful Def Marta stat tracker. So I've already put in laundry supply, Direwolves, plant or plant and elimination. And then in the 6th round, we go to dorms and Direwolves win by elimination. Let's see if it plays out that way.
I think you should just leave the predictions up to the experts.
Oh, is that you, is it?
I didn't say that.
You are the prediction king.
You said that.
Well, it's not looking good there for Renatus. At the very least, they get to go back down to laundry supply, but it's not as if this is a safe haven. They lost this round to start this map. So technically 50-50 between the 2 rounds played on laundry supply. And it looks like Edie might bring the Ying.
That has most certainly piqued
this
my
is a rush.
interest.
This might be a rush.
Well.
Yeah.
Maybe a blue send. Couple of different avenues that the attack could take, perhaps over towards rear stage, down the tower stairs. You may even be able to pull off something freezer, or even front. I mean, every single entry point is viable to an extent. Hopefully for Direwolves, they've expended 2 drones. They were able to, or 1 drone rather, were able to feed some decent information as to where this was. Sorry, it was 2 drones. Twitch got changed, my bad. But they're actually spawning over towards the west. So if they are going to rush, it's through freezer. Probably, in my opinion, the weakest of those routes. So I highly doubt that's going to be the case.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one because I think the lineup in some ways does kind of suggest it, but in other ways, I think it's also going to be what could be considered a late round rush where you've got the personnel to sort of rush onto site with the Ying and the Finker, but you don't do it at the very beginning of the round. Well, Hoven goes down to Souffle. That was almost the Maverick off the board. Probably wouldn't have mattered too much. Hermosa.
Oh, no.
What is that run out? Souffle was so low on health. Allows him to get the full run and brings it back to 4 versus 4. Don't think losing the Maverick's going to be that impactful here. You've still got Harambe and you've still really got the main instruments of that rush lineup, the Finker, the Ying.
No Kaid to deal with, so hatches can be opened by Harambe. Ultra aggressive from Renatus to kickstart round 5. And arguably a must-win round for them to keep hopes and dreams alive for this team to maybe sneak a win against the top team in APAC South.
Are Direwolves just going to go for like a drop down adrenal surge with the Candelas? Is that the play here?
Could be.
Because time becoming a factor, first and foremost, unless they can, well, really switch things up here and get something like backstairs control in through pillar, but I don't know if that's really the play. It's almost sensing, to me at least, it might just be a meeting drop down with the Candelas.
Oh.
Well, no Candelas anymore. He gets blown to pieces by Ape. Hermosa gets rid of Jackie Wu. And so far, this has been a very questionable round entirely by the Direwolves. Credit to Renatus, though. They've just been able to find these free eliminations.
Aggressive rotation from Hermosa. He looks down, he pays the price. Pika to find that kill. And this is a round on the defense that you must convert. 4v2 it was.
Oh, it's still open.
Ago.
Yeah, Albo's still open, so Rix is able to just fall back in there and has the shield. Did throw out one of the gas babes, has two more. 30 seconds remaining in the round. Told you. Well, there's the ping. Now he's holding the right angle, but it's Rix who does get rid of Harambe. Suddenly it's only Pika that is left and can't do anything about it. I was wrong, guys. Shocker, surprise. It's Renatus who take out round number 5.
I was going to say Renatus by elimination, but you just didn't give me an opportunity.
Here we go. It's Osa all over
just
again.
Didn't give me a chance. Yeah, a bit of an interesting round there. Obviously, Renatus starting out with the jump out big tower, then the run out to confirm the kill. So it was a 4 versus 4. Bit sloppy through the mid round from Direwolves, particularly from ED, who's been so quiet this game. Yet to get a kill. 5 rounds in. One of the star players, not only for his personality and his often colourful interviews, but inside of the server, mechanically gifted, has fantastic games. But yeah, today has just not been his day.
Even Jackie Wu. Even Jackie Wu, only 1 and 2. It's been all Pika and Souffle.
It's upside down day.
It may very well be upside down day. Could be if Renatus can find a way to win this next round. 3-3, not awful. Like I would say for this matchup between Direwolves and Renatus, a 3-3 half, probably par for the course for Renatus. Doesn't mean they're on a course to win, but I would say it puts them in a position to continue to contest against Direwolves. 3-2 scoreline, pretty decent. But again, Direwolves on the attack here, and you expect them to get the job done in the second half on the defense of Oregon.
Intriguing picks here from Direwolves, committing to the Maverick. Can only assume that's so they have nades, as at least personally I would prefer to have the Hibana for Games Wall in particular, but so we'll have to see how that plays out. Twitch also indirectly traded out for the Flores, which we're going to see for, I don't know if this is the
first time.
It is. I thought it stood out. So
which is surprising because it's such a staple on Oregon.
In terms of utility to deal with, there's a couple of bulletproof cameras, deployable shield as well. So Harambe with quite a powerful operator under these circumstances.
Very curious to see how Renatus is going to play this final round of the half. Do they continue to be somewhat aggressive, get in the face of Direwolves, look for these opening picks? Just look to put the pressure on a bit early. Or do they just bring it back a bit here for this final round? Play a little bit more on side. You know you want to peak this. The pinged out play goes away. I think that might have been Rix.
Harambe will reposition though over towards that bedroom balcony. Can only assume he'll head the charge with these drones from this position, as you can see on screen now, and look to clear out some utility on site. ED looking to push forward over towards Addict, and Pit, of course, a point of interest for the attack as they can launch off that position in towards Kids, but Rick's holding down that line at the moment, even though he's under quite a bit of pressure from these grenades.
Yeah, not just that, but also the players pushing through Attic as well. So Rix is under a lot of pressure right now. Already used one of those gas babes, and Souffle just peeks the window, gets the kill onto Rix. No more gas canisters, and Edie has pushed straight in as well. I mean, this is so far free for Direwolves.
Hoven, though, finds one back onto Jackie Wu. Souffle, however, now has a foothold in towards the objective, but immediately shut down. 1-for-1 trades left and right. 3 versus 3. Hermosa has now repositioned over towards Games. ED was unable to shut down that rotation. He's inside of Kids looking to get the plant down, but now he only has one teammate to cover.
He hasn't been able to do anything.
ED has done absolutely nothing on this push. Has one more nade and could find the pick, although it won't land. And now he needs to try and find all three.
Yeah, so crazy how easy control he gets through Attic into Pit and then even into Kids, and yet hasn't really been able to contribute. The round has well and truly slipped away. Full credit, though, to Renatus. I mean, even towards the end here, holding their positions, not getting too overly antsy, not playing into Pika. It's a 3-3.
Tactical timeout. That now coming to a close. I believe that was that for DW. Didn't quite catch it. But a big call if it was DW to make it in this position, maybe feeling a little bit under threat.
Yeah, and I give a pass mark 100% to Renatus for that first half. 3-3 is fine. Yeah, in a more typically even matchup, you would definitely go with the 4-2 scoreline being the pass mark for the defender team, but you gotta remember for Renatus coming into this stage, it's their first time in APAC South. Direwolves have been the form team of the competition as well. So when you put all of those factors in play, I think 3-3 is fine. Because especially at one point when you're down 3-1 already, that really could have just been the tipping point. You're down 3-1. We're not really going to be able to gain much from that first half, but they kept fighting back. They got the last 2 rounds, full credit to them. And if they honestly can get the first round to start this second half, suddenly they have a chance to turn Playday 5 into Upset Day. Of course, for those who missed it, Knights took down the Chiefs earlier in our first overtime of the stage. Currently tied here, 3-3 between Renatus and Direwolves. Second last versus first. And right now, you wouldn't really be able to tell the difference.
Quite an intriguing decision. It was Renatus to take the tactical timeout. Don't really have any opinions for or against that strategy, but it's not every day of the week you see a team, especially off the back of a round win, take a tactical heading into a half. So clearly Renatus wanting a bit of a breather between rounds, then in between halves, reset themselves mentally for these attacks. It's going to be tough against Direwolves on Oregon.
And the other thing as well, and I think it's very much needed to be pointed out here, but the Direwolves are not exactly playing as if they're disrespecting their opponent and they're running around and they're playing a poor. Renatus is just beating them in a lot of fights and just generally the way they're positioning as well. Just honestly playing very decently. And we know Renatus is not a bad team by any stretch of the imagination. It's the reason why they got promoted into this tournament. They're a good, solid team. I think just the last couple of play days has been more so a fall down to earth. Harambe, nice swing. Gets through to Hermosa. Saw a little bit more information there and saw that the diffuser was down, but it is still down inside a bedroom. Player on the balcony now, and Harambe watching that position.
Direwolves may be confirmed for the top 4, but still seeding on offer for them. So they want to get as many points as possible and continue this flawless run. Ape, though, finds a response. Souffle shut down, and now they have a minute to maybe find 1, maybe 2 more picks before they go for this final push.
50 seconds remaining in the round, though. At the very least, 4 versus 4 does mean they can still go for that late round rush and trade and hope for the best. Kid Storms as a site generally plays out well for that. For attacking teams, it's not as bad as other sites where there's more choke points as Rix gets rid of Jackie Wu, who is having a disaster game at the moment, along with ED. 1-4 and 0-5 for Jackie Wu and ED. Generally 2 pretty well-known fraggers for this team. And it's now Ape who gets rid of Harambe. Freebie, though, for Pika. I'm not sure what Hoven was doing there. Just ran straight in. Clearly didn't have the information.
Oh, no.
That's diffuser down. Oh, 3 ones for Pika, who almost dies to the player inside a pit. Didn't matter. Rix just continues to rush after him, though. It's the run game. Pika salvaging the round for the Direwolves.
Wow. What a response from Pika, the individual prowess to pull off that play. He's happy about that one. Smiles all around there. A little bit of a stressful round, perhaps, for the Direwolves. Backs against the wall, but well played to bring that one back.
Yeah, and I'm just going to be honest, maybe not all that deserved either. Renatus were playing that pretty well. I guess you can question the late round execute and the fact that Pika just with a sensational solo play to get that job done in the end for the Direwolves and get them over to that 4th round now. But in reality, Renatus were not that far off taking the lead here on Oregon. Had they won that round, it would have also been 3 in a row. So massive step up clutch from Pika. 11-5 now, and Kind of feels like it's the Pika and Souffle show that is just getting the Direwolves over the line at the moment. To be fair, looking back at the results of the Direwolves, they've not really crushed any teams this stage. 7-5 over the Chiefs, 7-4 against Elevate, and then 7-4 against Fury. So not really
10 seconds
that many one-sided matches from Direwolves, and Renatus playing into that as well. No, don't even bother. No.
They did have a 7-0.
They did not have a 7.
Attackers must locate and defuse a bomb.
Oh, you're cheeky, guys. For those, of course, who maybe are not aware what he's referring to, that was the forfeit from IG back in Playday 3.
Couple of aggressive repicks in this round from Renatus. Lion, Finker, Blitz as well. Blue a point of interest, and they are pushing a straight in, stalled though by the smoke canister, and Pika to get the first.
I think I've seen this before, especially with the Blitz, and I don't think I've ever really seen it pay off that well. Pink going down super early again, out of everyone on that lineup for Renatus. That's the one you don't want to lose that early. Adrenal Surge is gone. Tolji falls. The Blitz definitely not impactful, definitely not effective. Elbow's still available as well for Direwolves. And now suddenly this rush is just completely halted, and you're left with a Maverick Lion and with Hibana. I mean, good luck.
Disappointing from Renatus.
I'm
not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Maybe they just look at Laundry Supply and think, if we try to play this sophistically against a team like Direwolves, they're probably going to beat us, right? If you try and play into it the way you generally would, they're just going to be the better team on a site that's so well regarded as being one of the better defender sites here on Oregon. It's kind of why I can maybe give them a pass mark for trying to do something a little bit outlandish.
Bomb located by attackers.
But obviously doesn't work against a team like the Direwolves as well.
Yeah, maybe does scream a little bit of a lack of confidence perhaps on this side, not being able to duel it with the best, having to try and pull out a cheese strat.
Round's not over though.
60 seconds on the board, 3v3. ED still has blue control though. Bit quiet though. Obviously a bit quiet in this matchup, especially by his standards, and now holds a key position for Divers to be able to win the round.
Well, that's a good point to bring up, because Pika's gone, right? So Pika's not going to be able to salvage this. If the Direwolves start to fall, it's because Jackie Wu and ED have struggled to find kills, and now suddenly they're going to need to find them. Jackie Wu inside a freezer! That's the Jackie Wu we know, with a bit of help from ED at the end. Again, another round though that I feel like Renatus will be kicking themselves a bit. Down to the late round execute. And they just fall short.
Yeah, it was a valiant effort, and I respect the confident repicks, but clearly the plan went astray, and they were forced to send it in late in towards the round. So much utility is still standing. Shield Blue, Sawyer Gates, over towards the front stairs, for example, near Laundry, still had Banshees up from the Malusi. You were walking into a death trap, and Divers were able to convert the round. Now penultimate match point for them, and they'll be looking to, I think, just get this one done. The match has probably been a little bit close for their likings. No disrespect, obviously, to Renatus. And they just want the full 3 points. Lock in 100% that playoffs position and set themselves up for a first place finish.
Start to wonder now as well for Renatus. The last two rounds were the rounds I feel like they could have got results from. Now is the task too great for them? 5-3, very different to what could have been maybe 4-4 at this point.
10 seconds.
And has it just escaped their grasp? We'll see. It's a big round here. Kitchen meeting,
5 seconds to insert.
the 9th round. If Renatus win this one, I would still say they're a chance at actually forcing OT and keeping themselves close here with Direwolves. But otherwise, if Direwolves win this, that's 3 rounds in a row on the defense. Match point. They'll eventually be able to go back to Laundry Supply as well to close it out. So big round here for Renatus. If they're to get anything from this game, they've got to win this one.
Small tower entry for the attack here. Ape to be droned up ahead of the rest of the team, and horizontal control is the name of the game. 2 sledgehammers fourth, and RTS already getting a peek towards the side itself, in towards kitchen. A one-dimensional push like this, they're unlikely to work against the Direwolves. Top floor will likely need to be contested, and that's up to the likes of Hoven. He'll be looking to pincer this top floor position alongside, I can only presume, a hard breach. Hermosa, one of 2 hard breaches currently over towards games, and Rick's downstairs as well. So, I don't know, maybe RTS are keen on fully committing to the horizontal take, but I really don't see that working out.
Yeah, we saw something a little bit similar as well from the Direwolves back in the first half. Way more of a focus over towards kids' dorms and obviously establishing kitchen control. The only difference here from Renatus is it's more so, as you said, horizontal, more so into dining and less so above. Full small tower control. But there's still a minute 35, and now Tolji just heading over towards big window up above. I mean, this is not awful by any means. Time is still pretty decent. And Hoven's just now pushing in through trophy. So they are getting the job done, but it's a beautiful swing from Harambe. Up you step, Ape. Your turn now.
I did just realize it is the battle of the apes or the gorillas.
Ape and Harambe.
Ape pushes forward and he's shut down by Souffle, so it's falling to pieces here for Renatus. Direwolves edging one step closer to being able to close out this map. Rix, though, puts the foot down, finds something over towards dining. Will it be enough, though? The answer, probably not. Direwolves looking to hold on.
Well, I will say this. I think Renatus have actually been pretty decent in the late round execute. They've just been short on numbers because in the earlier portions, we're seeing Direwolves getting these opening picks. The last 4 rounds have actually gone the way of Direwolves, although Jackie Wu does shut down Hermosa, and that really does put a dent into my point. Point being that Renatus have been pretty decent when they're rushing onto site looking for kills. That has not happened, though, in this particular round. Rex has had a pretty decent game for Renatus, but now in a 1 versus 4. In what was a do-or-die round, the Direwolves do, and Renatus do not. It is now match point.
Yeah, I think Direwolves in the last few rounds have really shown that they are a cut above Renatus, and that's the expectation heading into this match. It's first versus second last, and Direwolves with slightly more experience at this level, and as a unit looking more cohesive. Now they have a full selection of sites as they begin to slowly unlock to finish out this game. If they don't do it here, then they could do it in basement or do it again on the tertiary site. So basically, unofficially, the game's kind of done. But
yeah,
Renatus could pull off a minor miracle. I wouldn't bet on it. But
I will say this though, there was that brief little moment, Gus, where at the end of the first half I was thinking, okay, yeah, maybe Renatus could do something, and that 7th round was winnable for Renatus. Little fork in the crossroad that did go down the path of Direwolves, closing this one out, but I will say good signs from Renatus, because this could have been really bad. Like, they were down 3-1 to start on their defensive Oregon, and they fought back pretty valiantly, and honestly, there's been a lot of rounds in this entire match that Renatus have looked okay for the most part. So you're going up against Direwolves, who are arguably the form team in the competition at the moment, held their own for a good portion of it.
Certainly a respectable effort from Renatus, and also credit to them to actually taking Direwolves to Oregon as well. A pretty confident move in the veto. And ultimately, heading into today, they weren't realistically a chance for the playoffs, but it's a great opportunity for them to gain experience in an official under a little bit of pressure and try to improve upon their mistakes. And that's going to be the storyline for them for the remainder of the stage and heading into stage 2. It's all well and good to have a bit of a sleeper first stage, but you must learn from your mistakes, and that's what we're going to be looking at for Renatus for the remainder of the year. Can they continue to improve, and can they scathe off that threat of having to re-enter Premier League?
Well, here's the big one for any Renatus fans out there. They've got arguably the easiest run home. They play Wildcard and they play Fury for their final 2 playdays, so big games there. And I think they'll be competitive in both. I think they'll go in favourites against Fury, and I think it'll be pretty even against Wildcard. So very much looking forward to seeing how they close out the stage. For Direwolves, they've also got Wildcard, and they've got the Knights. So unfortunately for Wildcard, they've got... well, actually, Wildcard's run home. Fury, Direwolves, of course, they play Fury after this, and then Renatus. So they too can pick up some points.
Minute into round number 10. Renatus taking bot control. Seeing if maybe they could find a sneaky pick through these vertical holes. Use them against the defense. Hoven now sitting inside of kitchen. I believe that's up through kids, but no one's really going to rotate through that, I wouldn't assume. Maybe some pressures from the double window, but at the moment that player on being able to chill out. Hoven, though, senses that there might be someone near games. The nade doesn't hit the mark, and Jackie Wu will survive.
9 rounds played, 2 opening kills to Renatus, 7 to the Direwolves. Make it 8 from 10. That is a damning statistic and a big reason why the Direwolves have been able to really win out here on Oregon. Similar to the Knights, actually, in Clubhouse earlier. So, big difference there. It's told you does get rid of Pika. At least there's the trade. 4 versus 4 with just about 60 seconds remaining in this round. Renatus will go down fighting. No questions about that. Oh, freebie for Jackie Wu. He's just turned on the afterburners in the last couple of rounds. Jackie Wu quiet for the better half of this game, but in the last 2 rounds has been able to find about 4 frags.
Now with the man advantage, Dai was looking to cleanly sweep this 10th round. Get 3 points in the standings, continue that flawless run. Renatus still wanting to commit to a double window plant. Rick's over towards kids, and I'm assuming told you will rotate top white. Going to be so challenging and even tougher now with Rick's off the board.
Well, he's in, but now he's out. That was Hermosa. Told you the last one left top of white stairs, no time, and does not have the diffuser. Somewhat valiant effort from Renatus here on Oregon against the standings leaders in the Direwolves. 7-3, arguably their best result of this stage so far for the Direwolves in terms of scoreline. Very one-sided. All the other matches were 7-4 plus. So a nice, decent effort for the Direwolves, especially on their attack here on Oregon. Getting 3 rounds there. Very convincing against Renatus, who obviously still have a bit of learning to do.